move on to question 35. Deputy Eugene Murphy, 30 seconds to introduce.
I just want to ask Communications, Climate Action and Environment to investigate the possibility of Quelcha transferring a single wind turbine in the Sliabh wind farm development in Strokestown, County Roscommon, to local community ownership, which would provide free electricity for residents in a 5 or 10 mile band. And maybe you might make a statement on the matter.
Thanks, Deputy Murphy. The programme for government recognises the importance of community participation in renewable energy projects in both the national and local interests. This builds on the 2015 Energy White Paper commitment to widen the opportunity for community and citizen participation in renewable energy projects. While the specific proposal detailed by the Deputy is a commercial matter for Quelcha, I am committed to ensuring community participation will be a key design parameter of the new Renewable Electricity Support Scheme, which is currently under development in my department. The new support scheme will be designed to enable communities to actively participate and invest in renewable energy projects, simultaneously reaping the benefits of renewable electricity projects in their local area and contributing to Ireland's low-carbon energy future. A core part of this work is to identify ownership models and meaningful pathways for community participation in renewable energy projects in Ireland, and I expect the results of this analysis to be known shortly. It is expected that a second public consultation will issue in Q2 of 2017, outlining various design options. However, following the outcome of the second public consultation and before any new scheme is introduced, it will need to secure government approval and state aid clearance from the European Commission. Subject to this, it is expected that the new scheme will become operational in the first half of 2018. And just to say to Deputy Murphy that when the project on Sliabh was being first proposed, I specifically met with Quelcha in relation to the issue that you have suggested and sought at that stage that there would be a dividend given to the community within the vicinity of Sliabh that were directly impacted by it. I didn't succeed at that stage and think I was pretty much a lone voice in relation to it. Everyone thinks it's a good idea now. At the time, it wasn't something that I could successfully progress because the legislation and the structures that were in place that had been put in prior to my time in the department didn't facilitate and allow for that. I did press Quelcha that they should be seen as best in the class, as being a semi-state company. And it is my intention as Minister to ensure that any new projects under any new support scheme would have a community dividend tied into it.
Deputy Murphy.
Okay, well, I thank you for the reply. And I suppose, to be blunt and to be honest about it, as you know, by being my constituency colleague, we're in trouble with these wind farms, and we're in trouble with this wind farm. And I, like you, I see the value of wind, but for a long period of time, I've argued that the stipulations and guidelines that are there at the moment are completely out of kilter with people's needs and people's way of life. And that's what I'm saying. We've got to get Quelcha to start giving back something. And this is one area where we could do something about this. And of course, we're talking now about a wind farm that was established under the old guidelines. And you know yourself, you're meeting them, I'm meeting them. You're now the Minister. I hope that you will be able to act in this manner to deal with the issues that are there in terms of the dissatisfaction among the community. You know we have issues with noise. You know we have issues with the size of the turbines. And I myself, I have to say, as one that's an advocate of wind power, am not happy at all at the present structure. There isn't a good method of dealing with the communities. There's no buy-in for the communities. And as you know, not everybody is happy. Okay, the noise issue is an issue with some people and it's not with others. But there are people being upset by it. There are people being annoyed. And I think that you as Minister should be calling in Quelcha to have continuous meetings with the community groups and looking at new ideas. I mean, the issue of having a turbine for the local community for their electricity, it's not new, it's a part of Europe, it's a part of Scotland, and it works out perfectly well.
1 minute.
Yeah, first of all, Deputy method of dealing with communities, and you're right, that was the case, and that's why I got the industry before Christmas to sign up to a new code of practice. Now, I know some of the people in Sliabh have dismissed that, But it's funny, other communities in County Roscommon that have used the code of practice have actually come back and said that it has been effectively dealt with the noise issue in other communities. So it is working in County Roscommon, and I would urge people, rather than dismissing what we have succeeded in doing, actually use the code of practice that is there in relation to it. Yes, and I've said it to Coillte on numerous occasions, there has to be a community dividend, not just in relation to this wind farm, but every other wind farm across the country, and it has to be a dividend that goes beyond the term of the farm and that project itself. In relation to the guidelines, I have publicly stated as Minister that they are not fit for purpose. It is my intention to bring in new guidelines prior to Christmas. But as you know, because of the European Court of Justice decision, that wasn't possible. And yes, will they deal with issues like noise and shadow flicker? Yes, they will, because they have to deal with them, because the current guidelines are outdated. And there is an opportunity now to get this right on this occasion. This will go out for public consultation, and I look forward to the feedback from communities and from members of the House in relation to it.
Supplementary.
Minister, I have to say, myself, no more than yourself, when this development was proposed back in 2011 now, at this stage, 2012, 2011, that I did have a lot of discussions with Coillte in relation to giving a turbine to the community and different areas like that, and the tourism project on Sliabh, which will be massive. But the reality we have here now is we have people affected by noise, we have people affected by the whole development of the wind farm, and we have people unhappy. Now, they're there under the old guidelines, and I think it is extremely important that you as the Minister, and indeed all Oireachtas members, acknowledge and accept that there is a huge difficulty there. We must acknowledge that the public are unhappy. And if we want to develop wind farm and wind energy, and I fully understand, as most members do in this House, that we're way behind in renewable energies, and 2020 is coming, and there's going to be massive fines on this country which will fall back on the taxpayer. But you cannot do this development on the backs of the people who are unhappy. And that's the reality. We must bring the people in, we must meet them, we must listen to the concerns. They're not all mad at what they're saying. I have stood on my own doorstep. And again, I want to say to you, I have never been against wind power. And I have to say the noise factor is extremely annoying. It doesn't upset some people, it upsets others. And Minister, you do need, for the future, we have 250 wind farms, you do need to publish the guidelines, and you do need to meet with the people that are concerned, and we need to look at their ideas, engage with them. And I think Coilte's role of just maybe coming and saying, we'll throw a few euro into the community, that day is gone. That day is gone, and we must challenge Coillte. We must challenge Coillte, and I'd ask you to challenge Coillte to deal with that issue and ensure that the communities are getting a fair crack of the whip.
1 minute.
First of all, I do and have acknowledged that there is a difficulty. That's why I, as Minister, put the code of practice in place. That's why the wind industry has written to every single TD here in the House and told them now that there is a new mechanism in place to deal with issues like the ones that you're experiencing. Is there an issue in relation to noise? Yes, there is. And that's why the new guidelines will reflect those issues. Deputy Murphy asked me to meet with the people. I've met with all of the players here after I became Minister, representatives of the communities that have been affected, the industry itself. I've heard all voices in relation to this before I considered the new regulations and the new guidelines, well in advance of that, and discussed and listened to the issues that were brought forward. We had hoped to make progress in relation to this. The European Court of Justice took a decision that has set us back, but it's my intention to have the draft guidelines put into the public domain as quickly as possible, and that they will reflect the concerns that have been raised by communities, not just in County Roscommon but across the country, because we cannot ignore these issues. We cannot brush those concerns under the carpet, and that's why we have now got a code of practice in place, and I would urge people to actually use it.
The next question in the name of